Seriously though, man, it was literally like Margarito whenever he was fighting Cotto that first time, man. It seemed like every time he touched Cotto, his face would just swell. His face would just absolutely just swell up. It all blistered up, man. That's exactly what Spence was looking like, man. It was crazy to watch.
Now, Coach, you saw that video. Did Errol Spence, as a southpaw, did he look like he was used to taking on southpaws? Did it really matter that much that Bud was southpaw to him, that it really confused him that much because he's not used to seeing him?
Well, like some of you guys know, I trained David Diaz, who was a southpaw. So it's funny that you say that because southpaws, they see righties so many times. When they fight a southpaw, it becomes hard for them. Yeah. And I had a problem with David at first because we fought jab judo. So people don't know for the box offs, he lost to jab judo. So I came in and I had to fly in and help him out in Atlanta where we had the box off, and we had to go back to basics because it is funny because you get used to a style being in front of you and having your leg out and stuff. So when you have somebody turning southpaw on you or you find southpaw, it confuses you for a minute. And the great thing about David, he was able to adjust. And that's the thing with Spence. I didn't see no adjustments. One of the things you do in boxing when you fight, especially, as being a champion as he has in the amateurs and in the pros, you got to adjust to the style. And he didn't adjust to anything.
No, but how many times has Bud fought a lefty?
Yep.
No, but he's like I said last show, he's the modern day Hagler. He could go. Hagler, they had no problems with softballs. He had no problems with righties. He just came at you. And the only problem that he had was with Sugar Ray was the speed. And at the time, he was already an older fighter. But going back
to the huge ring.
Whatever. The huge ring.
That's a great clause. I think about that all the time. But yeah, when you fight another southpaw, and if you're not fighting softballs, it does throw you again because who could you get who's as good as that besides Manny as being a southpaw?
That's true. I mean, because the stance does matter. And of course, as a professional, you're supposed to figure it out, but you're going to have more problems the more skilled that fighter is that's a southpaw. So if you're a fellow southpaw, you normally have the advantage, especially if you're one of the talented southpaws. So you fight right-handed fighters all the time. You're the problem. You're the problem they have. Now you got a fellow southpaw in front of you who's highly skilled. And from all of those videos we've watched, he had no clue how much of that falls on Derek James as well. I think he got into a point to where his ego's getting a little bit out of hand.
Insanely out of hand, bro. You can see that throughout the whole entire press conferences, man. Man, as a coach, man, that dude was talking way more than Bud and Errol combined. It was insane. It was insane how much his ego came out.
But he was trashing Bomac mostly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, they went back and forth on it. But Derek James, I mean, he has names that come to him, and they pretty much came like the Pied Piper because he has Errol Spence. He's the flagship guy in his stable. I mean, the Charlos, they're good fighters, possibly great fighters if they get the opportunity, but it's still Errol Spence, the one leading the way. So we really don't know how good he is as a trainer because this has been the one guy he's been with. I mean, that's really taken him to where he's prominent. It reminds me of was it Virgil Hunter? I think he's a good trainer, but the fighter he had was just so generational. I think he could have looked good with anybody.
Well, going back to coaches and trainers, you know what? Everybody's great when you got that great special fighter.
Yep.
But the thing about being a trainer and being somebody like Manny Stewart, where you have so many great champions, but you got to remember, even Manny Stewart lost. Remember, Lennox Lewis ended up losing also. So
no. He lost before he was with Manny. Manny corrected him, yeah.
Oh, Manny fixed him?
Klitschko lost with Manny in the first couple of days. Klitschko lost against who was it? Lehman Brewster.
So Manny was in Oliver McCall's corner, and then for the rematch, he was
switched. You're right. Yeah. And thanks for I was an ex-fighter also. I got but all I'm saying is like somebody went to Manny, one of my ex-fighters, and they thought they were going to go to Manny and learn all this stuff. But the thing about it is, it's a trainer's great, but he's only great as the horses. So Tommy Zubikowski went to him, and he thought he was going to become a great fighter because he's training with Manny Stewart. Well, he was good, but Manny Stewart ain't going to make you that much better. The same thing with all these trainers. So I always tell people, trainers only a little part of boxing. you got to put all the dedication and all your training in, because I trained with the great Angelo Dundee, and I didn't think he was nothing special. He was not telling nothing that nobody else was telling me. So I've been there, and so you got to remember, the fighter, the dedication, what he puts in is thing, because boxing ain't rocket science. You know, besides the jab, the right hand, and some of the feints, we all teaching the same thing. It's the way that you teach it and stuff. But don't get me wrong. So if I got a great fighter and I got an average fighter, I'm only going to win when my great fighter's fighting, not when the average guy's fighting. So because I've already seen posts of everybody putting his coach down, and I'm like, wow, you know, if Spence is not there and he's not 100%, you know, how could you take anything away from the coach? The only thing I'm upset. I thought he should have stopped that fight.
I thought so.
Yeah, I was saying throw the towel in the 7th round. Or no, the 8th round.
Like the 4th, bro. I was saying like the 4th.
About the ego.
I was saying, man, when Errol landed that big shot, man, and Bud just took it and he wasn't phased at all. I mean, bro, at that point, you gotta know, man, that there ain't nothing you can do. At that point, man, you're just putting your fighter's health at risk, man. I don't think there was anything that was showing that Errol was going to give Bud a fight after that 4th round.
And Errol Spence,
yeah, I mean, Spence was trying to do his thing, throw punches to the body, but Bud was jabbing him, and then he started throwing his own body punches. Like, look, this is how you do it. It was crazy. Bud was just on top of his game.
Yeah, because once again, what a southpaw, the biggest problem a southpaw has, another southpaw is like body punches. What don't they like? Body punches for themselves. They don't like getting hit in the body either. So if you try to outdo them at what they do best, you're probably going to have the advantage. And in this case here, Bud did that. He was a better southpaw and a better body puncher that night, and everything else that added to the frame.
So let me ask you guys this. So the numbers came back. There was 1 million buys. Both fighters should get close to 20 million, 19 million. Do you think Errol should consider retirement, considering the car accidents and the beating he took?
I think that Errol, I think that there's definitely considerment there. I mean, after getting a beating like that, man, I think that there's always considerment, man. I mean, boxing's a sport where a fight like that can take a couple years off your life. So yeah, I think you can always have considerment there. Do I want to see it? I mean, man, it's up to him, but I think that he still got more left in the tank. I don't see a lot of fights besides Tszyu at 54 and Triple G at 60 that could really give him a lot of trouble. I mean, that's just me, man. That's just me. I've seen potential.
I just don't think anything changes at 54 against Bud.
Nope.
And if that's the next fight, I see being an ugly one-way beatdown again.
Yeah. Besides Bud, obviously.
And I still think about that residual neurological damage they've been talking about. You know, it is a thing. And after what had happened to him, it's easy to believe. And now that he's taking more concussive impact because of this fight, it's just the same. You know, I think about a little bit of Baby Joe Macy. Remember him, the heavyweight?
Yes.
And how he's still undefeated, but that brain injury is the reason why he can't continue. I think that if Bud, not only because of the fighting, but because of the accident, if that's still going to be the issue, that may be something he has to consider. Hopefully his ego doesn't get in the way because he thinks people on the outside thinking, I'm not going to have Bud retire me. You know what I mean? I understand how fighters' minds work. They think like that. You know, they're too brave for their own good.
Naseem Hamed was good with it. Naseem Hamed was good with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But you know what? I think he was somebody who didn't love boxing. He was just good at boxing. That's what I'm thinking. And the Barrera just kind of put it on him.
Well, my thing is, if he gets back to the gym and if he got honest people around him, because the only problem in boxing is we got too many yes men.
Yes men.
Everybody wants to make money. So my thing is, I'm really honest with my fighters, and I won't work a corner. If a guy looks bad in camp and this and that, I don't care how much they're paying me. The last thing I want to see is somebody get hurt. And if you long enough in this game, you're going to know somebody that's been hurt, or you're going to know somebody that passed away. Well, you know what? I got somebody that passed away that who was training with us when he was young, but I wasn't in the corner. But this game, you know, you can play baseball, you can play football. How the saying goes, you can't play boxing. No, and I don't care how much millions is on the table. your life is worth it. There's a fighter right now that I see him all the time from Puerto Rico that's crippled. He got hit in the back of the head. I can't recall his name because I got hit a lot in the head. But I'm just saying.
Pritchard Cologne.
Pritchard.
Yes.
Pritchard Cologne. I saw the fight. And actually in that fight, I was like, you know what? I hope he's not looking for a way out, because in the beginning he was complaining. But then as it went on, I was like, man, this dude's hitting him in the back of the head. And I think the ref might have thought the same thing. And at the end of the fight, this happened. I was like, I'll never question a fighter again, man.
No, this is real. And that's the thing. Like, so if he got his corner, and if they're not worried about the money in this net, I know exactly when my fighter's off. I mean, you guys been around boxing. And if you ever go to the gym, and if you know that the sparring partners are getting the best of your guy, it's time to give it up. Forget the money. And don't get me wrong, there's always that guy that wants the last payday. Well, you know what? I don't want to be involved with that last payday because I seen it. I seen it with my own eyes, and I'm trying to stay as far away because as my daughter that fought and my son that fought, I'm thinking about that's somebody's kid or somebody's, somebody's kid that you're dealing with, and I don't want it to happen on my watch.
Right. Boxing could sure use more people like you, Coach.
Oh, absolutely. So now what's next for Bud? I mean, if this fight is not going to happen in December.
I got a plan.
Boots in this? Is that part of the plan?
No, because he wants to move up. But if you're Boots Ennis, do you want a piece of Bud? Do you want that smoke?
Boots Ennis. Boots Ennis.
Anyway, here's the plan. 154, one Charlo brother has all the belts and he's fighting Canelo. Go to 160, beat that Charlo, come back after the Canelo fight, beat that Charlo, beat 3-time undisputed champion.
And then he has to move. In my list, he'll move up in the top 25, top 20 of all time. I mean, seriously.
Well, they were already talking about that. I thought one of the Charlos brothers got into arguing with him.
Yeah, he actually spoke to him from the corner.
He said he said he's going up to 54 for those belts, but that brother's fighting Canelo. Yeah. So I'm saying go to 160, fight the other twin.
Hopefully he got slapped.
It come down, Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant.
The winner with Plant.
Yeah, so if he can't avoid a left from Plant, he's gonna be a sucker for all day for Bud.
Don't get
okay. That's the fight now.
Okay, hold on. So you remember when who was the kid from Arizona that Bud hit and he missed him?
Benavidez.
Remember, he missed him at the weigh-in. Everybody thought, man, he's gonna get Bud all he can, and he did it. So all the stuff off the street don't mean nothing. No, I seen good fighters get beat up outside, and once they get in the ring, it becomes their sport. So don't let that slap out of nowhere, because we don't know if he was drinking, having a good time, or whatever. But he was not ready for it.
Those two should have been ready for it, though.
If you
Let me ask y'all a question, man. Let me ask y'all a question, man. All over everyone's timeline, man. My timeline, at least, but I keep hearing it from everyone. After a big fight like this, the comparison is going to get brought up. Floyd Mayweather, Bud Crawford, 135 through 147, all three weight classes. Who y'all got?
I think I got Floyd everywhere below 147, but at 147 is where he has problems.
Yeah, I agree. He's not the same fight at 147. He was more patient. He used his brain a lot more up there. He used more defense than, at least at 135, 140. He was using the offense, and his hands were fast, and he had the movement. He had everything. And, Bud's a slow starter. Floyd's not getting knocked out. And I don't understand how people just talk about, at least in 12 rounds, that somebody said they're going to knock out Floyd. They always end it with it. If you said 15 rounds, at least I can make an argument because he's never been there. And we've seen people lose in the 13th round after being fresh as a day in the 12th. But Floyd's not getting knocked out. But from 140, 135, I think he takes care of Bud by decision. But at 147, the real problems start, especially with the switching up and all. Man, it'll be a high.
Yeah, if Bud could land that power jab that he was landing Saturday night, that's a game changer.
Yep, and we see how Mayweather at 147, when he was even more calculated, had his eyes a little wide, more open a little bit more. He got caught with those jabs or those right hands from guys who don't necessarily jab much. Maidana was hitting him with jabs.
Right, so was Cotto.
Cotto had his nose bleeding.
That 154.
Absolutely. I think I'm right on the money with y'all, man. I think at 135 through 140, I think Floyd puts on a clinic, man. I just don't think Bud was as developed throughout those weights. But I think 147, I think Floyd has some problems. I can't tell you who wins. I can't tell you who wins, man. It's hard to say that against a guy who knows the ring and knows the generalization of where he's at in that ring so much as Floyd. Who's so good at pop shotting from range, and I think Bud uses footwork a lot against Errol. I think Errol had a lot of problems with Bud's footwork. I don't know if anyone in the past.
So I think Floyd's best weight was probably 140, 135.
135.
Bud seems like his best weight is 147.
Yeah, he's knocked everybody out.
He's knocked out everybody at 47.
Everybody. And
talks about carrying power. He carried it. That's a great example of carrying power.
And that's just, and for him to say that he's struggling to make 147 now, so 154 might be in trouble as well. Man, he's feeling nice and healthy at 154. Man, we got some serious issues here. I mean, Tim Schu's not even an option. We're talking just straight Charlo with anybody else. But
there are no belts available at 154. That's why I say go 160.
While Charlo's up there trying to fight with Canelo, the belt is not available down there.
Yeah, and then come back, say, "Hey, I whooped your brother. Now it's your turn."
Well, they're definitely looking for it.
So, I mean, what about Boots Ennis? He seems to be the only guy available, but after the problems he had in his last fight, not the last fight, the fight before that, Karjan, that he fought, I think the Ukrainian guy, and he couldn't catch him for 12 rounds. He didn't know how to cut off the ring all of a sudden. He switches like Bud, goes southpaw, goes orthodox. He has the pop that we know against the quality he's fought against, and we know that changes when you get to the top fighters. What do you think about that? I mean, I think Bud wins the fight, but is it even competitive?
I think Errol's a better fighter than Boots, bro. I really do.
Yeah.
I think those two, if they want to do something in the interim,
there you go.
Need to get together.
Yeah, that's a good talk right there. Yeah, I would like that.
Ortiz is probably on the lower tier compared to with Boots, and then
they all beat Ortiz, if you ask me.
What do you say?
Ortiz gets hit.
They all beat Ortiz.
Oh yeah, I think they do. Yes, they do.
And Ortiz is, I mean, he's right here from DFW, man. He's Texas boy, just like Spence, man. But he gets hit way too much.
He gets hit a lot, but he lands that. He lands it too.
Yeah, and his volume's insane. He puts some. He gets to work, man. He has a great work rate. But man, his head's just out there, man. And it seems like his head, it's just on a straight line. It's on a straight line all the time. And I don't think you can. Stay at the world championship level for that long doing that.
Well, yeah, the world champion, the world contender stage right now, because right now he's not a champion. If he does get an opportunity at being a champ, that kind of defense and some sharp fighters, and if Bud is anywhere close as sharp as he was last Saturday, we're talking about another butchering.
Yep.
So, well, Caleb Plant, Charlo, what do you think? Is that just something we need to talk about now, or just an aberration that just happened because dudes might have been a little drunk, one might have been upset, and it's just much ado about nothing?
I think it's the fight to make, man. I think it's the fight to make. I think it was the fight to make after he lost to Benavidez. I think it was. I thought that Canelo should have fought Benavidez, and I think Plant should have fought Charlo. I think that's exactly what should have happened. I mean, those are it seems like that's the line order that these fights should be getting made, man. And I feel like this is just another build up for some more pay-per-views. How do you think that plays out?
Would it just be a grudge match though? If Charlo has to go up to 168, there's no belts on the line or anything.
No, yeah, that's true. I mean, hey, you might, because of the buzz, it might just be a money fight. You know, sometimes a money fight is even more than a championship fight because of the buzz, especially with this social media being what it is. I mean, we're talking about Jake Paul making money. He hasn't touched the belt yet, not even another one.
Right.
I mean,
that's a disgrace. As a boxing coach, I get so mad when I see real fighters fighting for less than $1,000, and you see these YouTube stars making all this money, which is crazy because they haven't put in the dedication of the training and
supply and demand, man.
So, Coach, what do you think about Fury fighting the MMA guy?
Man, you know what? I love to see that because I try to tell my fighters that knockout pays in boxing. More knockouts, more KOs, the more money you make. Yeah. So anytime you got somebody that could have knocking out power, it's great. But I don't see him beating Fury.
No,
it's a boxing lesson.
That dude isn't even a striker. He ain't even a precise striker in MMA, man. He's just he's really not. No, I mean, I'm an MMA guy. I'm an MMA guy, man. He's not the dude who's going to go out there and outpoint you and show you a skill set. And that's not disrespecting the guy at all. But he's the dude who's going to go out there and try to get that one shot. It ain't even like Deontay Wilder, where Deontay Wilder is going to go out there at the Olympic level. You know what I mean? And give you some type of boxing. This dude's just going, yeah, man. He's gonna sit there and get picked apart probably. It's great. It's great for the buys and for the economics of boxing, but I don't. It's not going to be competitive, man. This dude,
like he said, it's a money fight. It's a money fight, though. Yeah, it's going to sell tickets.
Yeah, it is, and that's what's going to keep it happening along with these exhibitions. As long as the money's coming in, there's always going to be someone there. There's a demand for it, and it's an inordinate amount of a demand for it. And so you're going to continue to have these things. Now, Manny Pacquiao's going to have his exhibition, and before you know it, they're going to try to get him and Floyd into an exhibition, which most likely won't happen. The same way the Mike Tyson Evander Holyfield exhibition didn't happen. But the people keep clamoring for the circus, and they keep getting the circus.
No, and I'm a strong believer. The fight with Fury and the MMA kid, that's going to make more than $1 million, more than 1 million pay-per-views.
And that's the truth.
Because you got boxing and you got MMA. So now it's the same thing when Floyd fought Conor. It was just huge.
Yeah, because you have boxing, you have MMA, two different disciplines, I guess, when you look at the entities. But to get the big money, you need the mainstream involved. And that's when the circus starts. So you have your hardcore boxing, your hardcore MMA people. We already know they're there. They're going to come regardless. To make the inordinate amount of money you need to make in order to be a super, super duper fight, you need the mainstream. And that's when they come in. The ones who don't know anything but the names. And they come in, they pay the freight, everyone gets paid, and then it inspires other people to do the same, regardless of how good or ungood they are.
No, but without doubt, because that's something that I would definitely will watch, especially if you know the guy got the heavy hands that he got, because everybody's looking for that car crash. Everybody's looking, stuff just to see what's going to happen. And like I said, I think Fury just dominates and just box circles around him.
It knocks him out eventually because that's what's going to happen.
He's going to get exhausted trying to knock him out with those power punches. Because we all know once
you can't make a pro debut at the top level of the sport.
Nope, you just can't.
Yeah, it's wild. Whenever that's the biggest thing, man. It doesn't matter if you had the skill set of Sugar Ray Leonard, man. If you go in there against a guy, man, that's had 40 fights.
Lomachenko's is hell, Orlando Salido. I mean, we're talking about perhaps the greatest amateur ever, still having problems with Salido. And not that Salido was a pushover, but he's not a Hall of Famer. He was a solid champ when he was champ, but he still beat this amateur with more skill than we've ever seen. He eventually developed into who we know him to be today. But yeah, he couldn't even win in the second fight.
Yeah, man, it's a completely different ball game. It's a completely different sport. Amateur boxing is a completely different sport.
Oh, absolutely.
Professional boxing.
You get away with a lot more in the pros than you would in the amateurs. There's a lot of discipline involved in the amateurs. Voice commands. The ref doesn't even touch you. You got to listen, respect, this and all that. Now the pros, if you're on this side, the ref is on this side, and you're being dirty on the other side, like Bernard Hopkins, the ref don't see it. See no evil, call no evil.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So that'll be it for us tonight, though. We pretty lit on this. Finally, Sports Bag Bros episode number 34, coming off of a big fight, probably the biggest fight hype-wise in the last 10 years in terms of results. A lifetime performance we've seen but from one fighter. I wish the other fighter would have joined him with that lifetime performance instead of being the victim of the performance. Nevertheless, respect to both guys, and I'm glad they're both getting paid from the windfall that came in here. And I'm happy to have you guys back on again.
Yes, thanks for coming out again, guys.
Coach Danny over there, Gunn over there, and of course, Bias, I'm Trav. And we'll be back at you again tomorrow. And of course, we'll get back to some of the regular sports that we should have been talking about today, but this had to be spoken about. The biggest fight in the last 10 years. Trav, Bias, Coach,
Deuces.
We're out.